Hello and welcome to this lecture on Adobe Photoshop by Eduonics. In this lecture we're going to be going into hair selection techniques. So I'm going to show you hair selection. And hair selection can be used to select anything that's small, whether it's sand over a piece of colored paper or any kind of small detail that would be too painstaking to select on its own. So pick a photo to work on with this tutorial as I'm explaining it. Just keep pausing and going back and forth like you should be doing with every video. So I'm going to start out with using the quick selection tool, which is W or Shift W. If it comes up Magic Wand, you have to hit Shift W so you get the next alternating tool under W, which is Magic Wand and Quick Select. And also, if you prefer to use the quick mask like I just popped open, just hit Q. Anyway, we're going to want to select all the hair, but we don't need to be too careful right now because we'll go in and do a few things to clean it up. When I double click on the quick mask icon or hit Q, it'll bring up, or should I say when I just double click on the quick mask icon, it'll bring up those options. I can change my quick mask to just be the selected area, which is what I prefer actually, although you wouldn't know it from watching the videos. You can also change the color, you can change the opacity. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you've come this far, you know what all this is. I would keep it at 50. So now everything that's red will be what is actually selected when you go to Quick Mask. You can tell them in Quick Mask too by the upper left hand corner, the actual file name, it'll say Quick Mask in parentheses. So I selected all the hair with my Quick Mask. As you can see, there's a few points that haven't been selected yet. Well, I'm just going to select the bulk of the hair, so it's okay right now if I go over it. And keep in mind this can be used for anything, it doesn't just have to be hair. Now I'm going out of the mask because when you're using the quick selection tool and you're in the mask, it's going to just create a selection that you can only use in the mask. Once you exit the mask, it'll disappear. So if you're in quick mask, just paint. So anyway, I'm going around all the hair. I'm not worried about if I get a lot of white or not because when on the next few steps we'll eliminate that. But if you get a big pocket of white, just hit Alt or Option on a weird computer and just deselect it. The reason you want to be really careful with your selections in one respect is that dotted lines don't always mean that's what's selected. You can have something that's less than 50% selected and it won't show up as a dotted line. So if you ever want to see what you really have selected, hit Quick Mask or go to Refine Edge. Anyway, I'm going to want to select the bulk of the hair, and it's okay, like I said, to get a little bit of background. It's okay to get a little extra stuff. We'll eliminate that in the next few steps. So you might want to, in this case, you would select the shoulders of just a little bit of them, because that's where the hair ends. It's not really necessary. Anyway, you're going to go right into Refine Edge after you've gotten the bulk of the hair selected. This is one of the more powerful selection tools. Now, this is normally what I would do. Go down here with everything you have selected first off and hit layer mask, new layer mask, which is one of the icons at the bottom of the layers panel. Didn't mean to close that. Once you've done that, you see the little layer mask that pops up with white to indicate what you have selected. And go up and bring open the properties panel located under the window menu, drop down, and you'll see a refine mask. And you can hit that and it'll be the same thing as refine edge, except this time it'll alter the mask. And it's undoable, it's changeable, it's non-destructive editing. Automatically saves your selection basically. So I'm going to hit this little brush icon that you see grayed out right here on the left side of the refine mask box. And if you're working in the more recent versions of Photoshop, then everything should look the same. But this brush tool, and should I say, after I make these selections here, I'm going to go in with this refine edge tool. And if you don't like the visibility settings, that bottom drop down panel, you'll be able to change it. But this brush that I'm using now works like any other brush. You can control your size of the brackets or with the options panel, or I'm sorry, with the brush size. And I'm going to go over the hair. And right now I'm using a brush that's a little bit too big. I would suggest using one that's small enough for everything, but you can already see the difference. And I changed my visibility settings so I can tell it's really obvious. This is a good one to use, most contrast. And if I used a brush that was just a little bit bigger than the strand of hairs, I'll get the best results. Right now I'm using one that's just really quick, but even still you can see a dramatic difference. So I'm going to go around and just do it a bunch of times, and you can hit it more than one time with your refine edge brush. If you have a background in, you can change your visibility from layer mask to something where you can see more of the actual background. But as you can see, even with the scalp, it knows that you want the hair selected. This is why we start out with the bulk selection, is because we're telling it what we want, so that when we go into refine mask to make the fine adjustments, that, and you can see it even works with the earrings here. So when we go into refine edge, it'll kind of know what the hair is and know what we're going. But I would suggest also the bottom parts where it falls over the forehead is a good idea, but not the scalp. You want to kind of keep the scalp. And it really depends on what you're doing it for, obviously. Scalp's not that important. But so here's my new background, and I have just the hair selected. So what I would do is and you'll see, and this is a really sloppy way of doing it, but since I have the hair selected, I would just want the original picture of her pretty much bald, without the hair, without the outside background. That's a lot easier now that I actually have the hair selected. But this is easier, in my opinion, than selecting all the shoulders and body and face and everything too, because now I have this buffer area. So now I'm going to get rid of some of that white, and you can also use color range to detect white if you have good luck with that. Because once you have the selection already made, then you use color range, it's only choosing from things within that selection. So there's not that much, her hair is dark, so white is going to pop up really easily. Color range is a really finicky tool, so this would be one of the times that you can actually use it with great success. So right here I'm changing density and feather and just kind of showing you what they do, but for the most part we've done most of the work already. It's just a matter of doing, and there's a lot of different options. But it's a matter of doing whatever looks best to get rid of that final little bit of white. And like I said, if you're using the Refine Edge brush, and you're going over a strand of hairs, you want the brush to be just barely wider than the hairs. I was using a brush that was a little bit too big, but just to show you, it still works. Now, if you really want to shrink down and get rid of the white in Refine Edge, then here it is, a Shift Edge. You just shift the edge a little bit in, not too much to where it gets rid of too much of the hair like that, but just, about 5%, somewhere around there, to the point where it just removes a good deal of the white without cutting into the hair too much. Shift Edge is the magic option here, though. So, and remember to do this through the actual mask like I have in the background in properties, and that way that it saves it automatically to the mask as opposed to you having to hit save selection every time. And don't go through the file menu, go through the actual mask and the panels and the properties panel. Gumballs. So I'm refining it again. Like I said, use a smaller brush. Brush is just enough to cover the area that you're going over. And if you watch the other videos in this tutorial, you know how to remove the rest of the white really easily with just combinations of techniques. The decontaminate colors down here is a really important one too. Like I said, it knows what color you're going for. If you hit decontaminate colors, it's going to make a huge difference. So as you can see, I didn't select your face. Since I have her hair selected, anything I do in the hair region from the other layer is much easier. So open up these layers. It's got the background and everything in it. And I control click on the hair that I was just making, the one that's just hair, and that'll select all the hair. So now I'm going to erase. I have the erase tool up, and I'm going to erase the background from this image that we had hidden the whole time. And the only thing I'll have to watch out for is going around the shoulders. And like I said, the important part is learning how to use Refine Edge to get that hair. You can do this part however you want. I'm being a little sloppy here, but this is actually a better way of doing it with a brush, with the eraser tool. So once I've gotten around those shoulders, I don't have to be too clean with the hair. I'm using a gigantic brush, so it's already got the selection around it. I can just erase. Now keep in mind, when you're erasing, the reason why I like this is it gives you the extra option of erasing again to remove even more pixels. So if you have a pixel that's 50% selected and you erase over it once, you're erasing 50% of the information. If you erase over it again, you're erasing a total of 75%. If you erase over it again, you're erasing a total of 82.5%. Never quite reaching 100. But afterwards, as you can see, this is a lot better than going over in each little pixel and selecting it, where hair can be a very daunting task. And since we also have the hair selection, we can change the color of the hair, we can do all kinds of different stuff. So with this mask, I would invert it before I change anything. So as you can see where it's white for the hair, which means the hair is selected in the mask. So I made a little mistake there. Right here, I have just the hair selected. Hue saturation. I think it keeps on reverting for whatever reason. Koala bears. If I go to layers, okay, it keeps on reverting, I don't know why. So this layer with the hair selected, with the white on the hair and the black on the background, I'll add an adjustment layer to that. There we go. change the lightness. You might want to hit colorize. If you're colorblind, you probably can't see any of this stuff. It's just green hair, like Rydia. And anyway, just go ahead and play around with it. But the bulk of this tutorial was designed to just show you that technique with refine edge. It's often overlooked. It's just a small little icon to click, but it's the best way of doing it. And you can remember this works for everything, not just hair. So anything that's too small for you to be able to worry about on an individual basis, you don't want to change your size and quick selection between like 1 pixel, 2 pixels, 3 pixels. Just use this refine edge and use the refine edge brush tool within that panel, within that open tool. Aside from that, that about does it for this tutorial. So thanks for watching, and practice, like I said, on a image of your own. And like I said, it doesn't have to be hair. But make sure you have all the other selection techniques down, and you'll have a great grasp on how to alter things without changing other things. And thanks for watching. Again, just practice, practice, practice.